my dear friends. Welcome back to Star Oracle. Today we are looking at the answer to your question. So if you clicked on this reading, you might have a question in mind that you came here with. The way I'm structuring this is each pile, the very beginning, is going to have two cards to kind of describe what that question might be. So if that resonates with you, you should keep watching it. And if not, try a different pile, or this might just not be the reading for you. But it is my aim to answer a specific question that is coming forward today in whatever cards are showing up. I really wanted to do this reading today because Mercury has stationed to direct recently and has just started moving out of the degree where it's stationed direct. So is kind of, making progress. And often after a Mercury retrograde, once Mercury starts moving back through the parts, like the degrees, of the zodiac where it had moved backwards, or to us it looks like it's been moving backwards, it gives us time where a lot of things can start to be uncovered and revealed. And not only that, but this particular Mercury retrograde, Mercury stationed direct opposite from Pluto in Aquarius. So Mercury's been in Leo and stationed at 4 degrees and was opposite to Pluto in Aquarius at the early degrees of Aquarius. And that energy is still very present as I'm doing this reading. And along with that, the moon has just moved into Gemini and is making a conjunction to Uranus. So it feels very much like this energy of revealing secrets, of like part of the mystery, a surprise, in uncovering a piece of the mystery. This kind of energy is present today. So it doesn't matter, as with all of my readings, I try to use what is happening astrologically in order to get specific messages to come through, but it doesn't matter. Whenever you're finding this is the right time for you to be finding it. Something that's interesting about my readings, though, is you might be attracted to certain ones and recognize, oh, the reason I'm attracted to this is because I'm having this particular transit right now in my personal chart, or this particular aspect is significant in my own chart. Those sorts of things can really come through if you notice the ones that you're more drawn to. So definitely keep that in mind if you're interested in checking out other readings on my channel too, but they're always timeless. So before I get into the piles here, I just want to announce that I have a class available right now called By the Moon, the intuitive guide to understanding your birth chart. And for anyone who is seeking a deepened sense of belonging with your own birth chart, really coming into more comprehension around what it means to live fully in your birth chart, how you, even no matter what level of astrology you're at, how to experience your own chart in a way that it makes sense in your day-to-day lived experience. I really created this class as one that I wish I had when I first started learning astrology, because there is kind of this disconnect when we're taking in so much information about what all the different pieces mean that we kind of don't necessarily learn how to come to a place of confidence within our own things that we're experiencing, right? Our own embodied experiences of the planets and how they are showing up in our daily lived experience. So this class is very much about how to bridge that gap from the very beginning. And also, if you've been studying for quite a while, the information I share in here is stuff I learned later on in my journey that I wish I had learned first. So it is good for folks, even if you have a good amount of understanding about astrology, but it includes a lot of the basics too for people who are just beginning. So with that, all the information for it's in the description box, and I do have a free ebook currently that has part of the first lesson, or the whole first lesson actually, so you can decide if you want to continue on with the class. And the class is $75. And for the month of August, you'll also get the ebook, The Planets and Archetypal Guide, for free with that. So it's just, as I'm releasing this for the first time, I wanted to offer that as well. And it's this really great compilation and reference guide for each specific planet and what their correspondences are and how to understand them more fully. So you get that for free if you buy the class right now in August. So with that, we will begin here. If you are drawn to the first pile, we have this lapis lazuli palm stone here. There are very tiny bits of gold flecks in this. I'm not sure if you're able to see that, but I love this one. All right, put that back. We have the blue kyanite for the folks who choose pile 2. And we've got this sodalite for the folks who are drawn to pile 3. So go ahead and take a moment and settle in. And like I said, if the question at the beginning doesn't resonate, just choose another pile there, or, you know, watch however many you're drawn to, because you might have more than one question. Obviously, we all have a lot of questions right now, right? There's a lot of things that are confusing at this time, I will say. So hopefully this will ultimately bring you some sense of clarity or an aha moment, or even just one little piece of the answer that you need at this time. And with that, I'll send you love and see you on your way. I'll see you momentarily. Bye. Hello, pile 1. Y'all chose the lapis lazuli piece here, the palm stone. You might want to have, I don't know if y'all have a palm stone. Honestly, even just finding a good smooth rock is really good. I don't usually talk about that, but this particular stone is so comforting to me to hold, so that might be something that should be on your radar at this moment. I'm just gonna put it over here though. So I already drew a couple cards for the question part of what is this actual question that you're coming here for an answer about. So let's just get right into it. So we had Yod with destiny and North Node with life's purpose coming out, and okay, that's pretty obvious to me. I think y'all have a lot of questions about, what is your purpose here? What is, what are you being drawn towards in terms of your destiny or your dharma in this life? And for the clarifiers around this, we had the Magician and the 10 of Wands. So absolutely, this feels almost like a question of how do I face, perhaps this Magician is staring straight at the 10 of Wands. How do I face my karma? How do I face the burden of the experiences, the traumas, the things in this life that are weighing me down, that are weighing my ancestry down, that feel chaotic, that feel like they are a burden, or that make me feel like a burden, right? How do I move away from that? How do I transmute that? How do I become this magician? What is it in my destiny, in my path, in my purpose that allows me to become this magician? That allows me to be strong enough to transmute the 10 of Wands energy and to release the burdens. Finally, not just for myself, but for all those in my family line. So it feels like a very loaded question. Props to you for wherever you are at in your journey to be asking this kind of question of yourself at this time. I guess I didn't know what to expect when I pulled these cards, but I was like, wow, this is this is a pretty heavy question here. But if this is resonating for you, please stick around. We're gonna try our best to answer this question for you. So I'm gonna put this up here. I think I'm just, I was keeping it very open because I didn't know what the questions were actually gonna even be. So I'd like to look at this in terms of getting some advice, but also looking maybe a little bit at time and past, present, future sort of energy around this path and this journey that you're on, in a way that can sort of help answer this question of how to move through the karmic lessons and to really understand and know that you're on this path, and to know that you are becoming closer to this magician energy, being able to master all of the elements, right? All of the material plane and the spiritual plane coming together here, anchoring it in and following. It's I love that this magician is just staring at this stuff very intently. So there is absolutely a focused intention here and a desire to want to clear the burdens away. So let's get into it. I think I'm actually going to continue using the Wild Unknown Tarot here. So I'm just going to pull cards for past, present, future in terms of answers of how to create this progression, perhaps even. So Yeah, no, it feels important to do past, present, future. I was thinking of like, near future, future, farther away future, but I think it's better that we look at the past, since we do have this karmic piece coming out so strongly here, and with the destiny and life's purpose, it feels very weighty in terms of things you're carrying at this moment and desiring to release and to move away from, and to fully step into some sort of different path for yourself, or what you would consider to be full alignment, right, with your own destiny. So for the folks who are watching pile 1, how can we answer this question? How can we look at the trajectory of where they're at, where they've been, where they're currently at, where they're headed, as a way to answer this question a little bit? So in the past, we have the Queen of Swords. Present, we've got the Son of Swords, or the Page of Swords, or Knight of Swords. Future, we have the Five of Wands. I'm also going to take the back of the deck here. I'll just leave it out for this. So we have the Ten of Swords on the back here. I'm finding it, okay, so in the past, we have this Queen of Swords, Mother of Swords energy. There is this sense of watchfulness, of stillness, of perhaps judgment coming across here. This could be some sort of figure in your life, maternal figure perhaps, or a mentor, a guide, someone keeping a close watch on you. It almost feels a little bit like a critical mind, or seeking perfection at a time when it's not right to seek perfection yet. Obviously cards can come across with different energies depending on the reading, and in this one I do feel a sense of judgment happening here. This might be, I'm thinking of Venus and Saturn together actually with the Mother of Swords, so because Saturn can hold that kind of being that inner critic voice, and with Saturn, or with Venus being around relational issues and like feminine energy with the Mother of Swords. I don't know, that might be relevant to you, but there may be this sense of, okay, in the past, this almost wanting to achieve this state of inner knowing, because you've had these examples of people who hold a lot of wisdom, or what you believe to be like they know things, right, that you want to know, or they seem to have something you don't when it comes to the mind, when it comes to understanding, having that level of clarity, I guess I would say. Whereas in the present, I would see this more as your energy right now with the Son of Swords. So this is the Knight of Swords, where it's like maybe you're feeling some confidence in wanting to share your voice. Maybe you have a very clear direction you're heading when it comes to the things you want to be studying, or how you want to be utilizing, your own life force energy through how you express yourself right now in the world. Like, that feels very pointed and directed, but it doesn't feel masterful yet. It doesn't feel calm. Like this energy, it feels a little off from maybe where like you've had these examples in the past and are really desiring to get to this place, right? It's like, okay, I'm running at things with my sword so that I can cut it all away. It's very much the energy of like, I want to get rid of this, and I don't see, or like, I don't know how to reach this level of just inner peace where those things sort of melt away yet, right? Like, so I'm fighting stuff with my sword. Like, I'm using my tongue to create what I think is clearing the way for this to come through. So that's sort of, to me, where you're at with this. And It might also be that you kind of switch between these two energies at different points in time, and like you might have moments of reaching that state of inner peace and then being like, I have to fight again. Like, I need like the mind coming back in and being like, no, I have to take a stand for myself, or feeling like you can't squash your voice anymore. Because it could be, yes, you've had like really high examples and powerful mentors in your life, or figures as you grew up that held this for you as a good example, but they also at the same time, sometimes that can squash our own free, like, understanding of free will, or our own sense of us leading our own lives. And so there could be a way that you kind of move between these two states, is what I'm thinking. And in the future here, we have this Five of Wands, which does imply, again, this like the karma story here with this, and things feeling very chaotic, almost like, okay, I took my sword and I cut down, but now all these branches are falling around me. They didn't just disappear, right? They're still here. I still have to clean them up, even if they're on the ground or they're falling in a new way. They're still around me. So I think, to me, this is saying very clearly, though, that is part of the work, is we learn how to better handle the mess. We learn how to face it. This like Ten of Swords is very potent energy right now to have on the bottom of the deck for all of this, because to me it is really a prime example of showing how alchemy really works in this life, and how we truly transmute energy when it's not just like, yes, we can cut the things away. We take the action, right? This Knight of Swords. We take the action in life, and then we see the consequences of those actions. We see the branches falling down around us. And then that is the moment to assess again, like, okay, here's what is the emotion still arising with me? Like, I created this action, but my emotions are still attached to a certain outcome, or it's not feeling enough. And so having to understand to the need to return to the emotional state of this, which is loss, right? Which is a feeling of the ultimate separation here, with this, the swords all, piercing through. It's such a gruesome image, but it also is a state of release and a state of pure surrender. And to have the Queen of Wands right underneath it, just kind of like protecting the eggs, I think is also very clearly stating that the power lies behind the release. And so that is what this Mother of Swords has realized, and maybe what you've been seeking, or how you've been moving between these two. We don't get the Magician, right? Like, we don't get to be in full control of all of the elements until we have learned to fearlessly face these moments without even needing to fight them. Like, where we're actually saying, yes, come here, like, come closer to me. Because all of these shadow experiences, all of this karmic stuff is just material that you have an opportunity to bring closer to you, to be able to come to a sense of peace with, to let it fall away once it is offered some level of compassion from yourself. And I think even with the Five of Wands here, this, like I was saying, is from that cutting, and then it's falling and it's chaotic, but I also see this as these wands from the Ten of Wands really starting to actually truly fall away, from you coming to this place of fully understanding what true release actually means in your life when it comes to moving more on your, what you would consider, a destined path, and really handling some of these karmic things. And I mean karma in the way of, like, this could literally be just you holding on to certain past memories, like of abandonment or of never having felt a sense of belonging in your life, or of just always kind of never feeling worthy enough for relationships, whatever you would consider that to be, could also be familiar, like in your family line, like I said, dealing with certain patterns that have been repeated, whether like addictions or whatever it might be, that there's this need to really full on stare at it. And I think it's interesting the Son of Swords is actually not looking directly at it. So this tactic, perhaps, like, I know a lot of people who do manifestation work or work around affirmations and stuff, it's almost like trying to distract the mind to think something else versus certain repeating thoughts that are just not helping you. And I do think there's a time and place for that, but there is a way that I feel like it's misguided in this scenario. If you are actually here to transmute this level of stuff, like karmic shit in your life, that's not gonna fly. Like, that's not gonna be the thing that actually allows it to fully release. There has to be this breaking point where you understand that the only way to do it is literally to embrace it and to move closer and closer towards it with curiosity, with love, with compassion, and firmly in your own truth as well. And it doesn't mean that you don't have to desire for things to be different, or you don't have to desire for your life to transform so that this isn't an issue anymore. You can still take that as part of you and understand, like, this is the alchemical process, right? Like, we bring things together, like it all burns up together, right? And then it liquefies, and then it gets solid again, and then we do it all over and over again. It's this thing of not being afraid to take ownership of it as you, and to not be afraid to love it fully as you, and to release yourself, to call on support so that you can fully release into what that actually feels like, because that can be really intense, right? And knowing, though, and trusting, it is what is required in order for some of this shedding to happen. And I really hope this is answering this question, because I do think, I mean, maybe it's overrated. Like, people think it's overrated just to say, I'm here to clear certain patterns in my life, and that's literally just what I'm here to do. And I actually feel like it's not talked about enough in a way that is literally what some of us are here to do. And we don't have to have some like, that is a big destined path to be sort of faced with all of this stuff that we are transmuting, and that we are literally using our life force as we are living here on the planet right now to do, and to understand how it's creating ripples for all of us. And it is a really significant work, and a lot of times it's work that goes completely unnoticed, and people don't really understand, you know, why our life looks the way that it does or whatever, because it's not a like typical path to a lot of people. Although I do think it's a fairly common path for folks who are called to live a more spiritual way of life. But anyways, I want to get just a few more cards and kind of look at any further guidance. Whoops, I just picked those up. Is there anything else? Or maybe like encouragement? We'll see what comes out. There's a variety of things in this little deck of mine. So for folks watching pile 1, is there anything further that could support them or help them or give them inspiration as they move forward on this path right now? Anything else to further answer this question? earthing, emotional maturation, emotional presence, and all potentials. Yeah. I love this. This is like, I feel this is the recognition from your guides or from your higher self being like, the path is about these things. It is about the maturation that comes from learning how to face this stuff head on. It's about learning to cultivate the emotional presence, because that is what is changing everything in your life and opening you up to future potentials that you can't even dream up right now. And I think that is offering some, I hope that this is offering a glimmer of hope that like your destiny isn't even set. Like, sure, this might be the stuff that you are learning right now in order to continue to stay on that path, or to understand it more, that this is what you're doing. But how that can be experienced is limitless in a way. So once you are on this path, right? I mean, because just think about it. If you truly are cultivating a sense of emotional maturation and presence in your life, you can use those skills to like greatly support this planet and all of the humans here in like an infinite number of ways, and in an infinite number of ways that are deeply satisfying to you. So this is just, to me, this confirmation of like, please to keep going, that you're doing a good job, and that in those moments of feeling disconnected, or just like the overwhelm and wanting to kind of fight, like I said, with the sword, which is fine, but then we have the consequences of that, just knowing it's all part of the process, and to return to any practices that really help you ground in the moment, through, you know, earthing is just my like get out in nature kind of card in general, and finding things like, that's interesting that I mentioned having like a palm stone to hold even. I don't usually talk about that kind of stuff in my readings. So that might be really relevant, of like keeping a solid reminder on you at all times to be able to hold on to this sort of understanding of, this is my path and it is important. And the work that I'm doing, even if it's unacknowledged, is very, very significant and important, and is leading me into this place where so many new potentials are opening up, where I have my pick right here of like what is actually possible. Yeah. I feel like there was something else I wanted to say, and now I'm not remembering. I think really leaning into this release. Oh, I know what I was going to say too. That this is super important, the earthing piece, because everything, like so much has shifted astrologically into fire and air at this time. And so I think all of us are very prone at this time to not feeling very connected to the earth and feet on the ground sort of energy, where we can feel a little bit more rooted in what we're doing, even if like during these times when you're working this the more deeper emotional like gnarly pieces, to remember to give yourself a lot of space to return to the natural environments, things that really can help you feel connected again to the planet. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna leave it here. Powerful reading, y'all. I hope that this was supportive for you at this time. If you're ever looking for one-on-one astrology sessions, I do have those available. And I also have my class by the moon, the intuitive guide to understanding your birth chart. That's currently available as well, if you want to learn how to really deeply understand your birth chart in a way that helps you understand your day-to-day lived experience, how to work with the moon specifically. This particular class I created, that is one I wish I had when I first started. So it uses the transits of the moon to bring you closer into understanding of your birth chart. And it's a really beautiful practice that I wish I had learned when I first started, because it helps a lot in deepening your understanding of it. So all the information about my class and anything else is all in the description box. But thank you so much for spending time with me today. And if you liked the reading, please give it a like, subscribe if you feel called to. I am trying to reset my channel here, so hopefully we'll see a lot more readings more consistently into the future. All right, I'm sending much love your way. Bye. Hello, group 2. Y'all chose the blue kyanite here. I'm gonna go ahead and set it over to the side. And I already drew the cards that are about what this question is. So the answer to your question, first we obviously need to know what the question is. So we'll look at these, and if it resonates, feel free to stick around for the answer to that question, however that might come about. And if not, then you can choose a different pile, or if you do follow this, you can choose other piles as well if you have different questions. So with that, let's get started. So we had the 10th house coming out with the world first. And we have the 9 of Swords, along with the 4 of Coins and the Star card. I clearly get the sense here that this question, obviously with the 10th house, has a lot to do with career, or even just how you see your life's work into the future, how you want to be understood if someone's looking back over your life in terms of like a long-term trajectory, right? The things that you're able to accomplish, or how you are making your personal stamp in the world in some way. And there's this question of, how do I do that in a way that's truly aligned with the things that I've been hoping for, the things that I dream about, right? The greater visions that I might be holding for myself, the things that I would consider my North Star that are guiding me through this life. How do I hold that along with my fears, right? My insecurities that I'm holding, with this place of feeling scarcity or lack, like no matter what I do, it's like it's not enough, or I have to hold on to the little bit of what I can because it's gonna go away. These sorts of fears. Both of these cards are very much holding a heavy weight of fear around this, versus this card of a lot of hope and optimism, and knowing that no matter how much of ourselves that we pour out, it will always be replenished by source, right? By our guides or those who are helping us along in this life. There's never a fear that we're going to pour out too much and that there won't be anything available for us. It's a very, very different energy here. So the question that is coming from this to me is, how do I, group 2, move into or stay in a place of holding that understanding, that sort of more abundance mindset, if you will, and kind of steer away or manage the fears that I have as I'm going along on my path to kind of create the world that I most desire for myself, to leave the legacy and the imprint upon this life that I really wish to. So if that question really resonates for you as one you're holding in your heart right now, stick around. We're going to get to the answer. So I'm just going to kind of put these up here. I want the star card to be first. I was feeling drawn to use this Starseed Oracle for this for some reason, even though this feels like a very material reading in a way, or tied to this particular lifetime, right? Tied to your work in the physical world. But I don't know, maybe there's a reason why I was feeling called to this. So we shall see. For those who are watching pile 2, what can we understand as part of an answer to this specific question of how to stay in this space of hope, in this space of knowing dreams are going to come into fruition, of trust with the universe, ultimately trust in what they're being shown and to follow that. Okay, what do they need to know about this question? What's the answer to this question? Alright, so we had trust the timing come out first. Perfect. Along with You Got the Love, Hadarian Energy, Codependency, and Boundaries. Along with Star Family, you're part of a team of souls, call in support. And I do want to get a couple more cards. Let me continue using this deck and see if we can get a little bit more information here. What else will help to answer this question? This important question for group 2. What else do they need to know? We have the World actually coming out with the 5 of Wands. And the Fool is on the bottom here. I'm going to stick that over here. It makes a lot of sense that this Trust the Timing card came out first. Trust the wave you came in on. Time is not running out. Because a lot of what can happen when we get into these states of fear is that because we are coming from a limited perspective, being in a physical body, having an ego, our ego is not coming from that place of limitlessness that our soul does, which is why it's so much easier for the soul, right, to have these wider perspective and this greater understanding of our unfolding in a way that's much more relaxed and a lot more calm, because it is not bound by time. And I think this card is reminding you of that. Like, no matter where you are on this journey, you are, like, you can breathe. If you can breathe into this feeling of timelessness, that is where your soul resides at any given moment in time. It's really going to help you to break out of these patterns of fear and of anxiety about what's going on. I also, with the You Got the Love, Hadarian, Codependency, Boundaries energy here, if you notice or recognize within yourself this way that you're pouring all of your attention maybe into this legacy and neglecting other parts of your life, I sense that this is not actually supporting you getting to this future that you're desiring. Even if you don't necessarily desire to have like a partnership or whatever it might be in your life, there's still some sense of, to me, this, like, that there's a quality of life being lost if there are not appropriate boundaries, whatever, I don't even like that I said that, disregard that there are not boundaries that work for you, right, that are just not actually helping you feel balanced and secure in your own self. So that could even mean just literally running yourself ragged, right? Trying to reach some sort of goal and not giving yourself space to treat your body with care. I think this 4 of Pentacles card can really get into that place of, like, striving so hard that, because we know, right? We know when we put in the effort that we do get things in the physical. But it's almost like it will never be enough. And so for this card to pop out, I don't sense this is about relationships. I actually just think it's about your relationship to work itself and to how you are managing your time and really taking care of yourself and giving yourself the adequate space to have other things, have other experiences in your life that are not related to building some type of legacy. And this space is so important because in the moments when we actually step away from our work and step away from the things we're striving for and give ourselves room to return to that sense of limitlessness within us, is when we actually can get answers to questions that other people cannot give to us, right? There are certain things that you just have to allow, like that have to be uncovered to you, from your higher self, from whatever guidance sources are coming to you, right? And that only comes when we have good boundaries, enough to be able to give ourselves that time, whether it's in meditation or just going for a walk, or listening to calming music or something, cleaning the house even without listening to anything, just having that free space. And I think this is saying, like, create a boundary around that, because that's going to really help with these energies here. And what that's doing is, having this type of anxiety is really all about getting stuck in a place of feeling limited and feeling constricted. And when you allow yourself boundaried free time to just do whatever, I am really just feeling like a need to like unconstrict yourself in some way by actually giving yourself boundaries around having time for silence and having time for pleasure and play too, because having time for silence, that might actually just bring up the fears more, right? Like that might feel a little bit chaotic at first. So actually structuring in time to do other activities that are unrelated, right? But in every day, like every single day, giving yourself that space, it feels important in order to be able to connect more to the dream and re-enter into that space of peace, and like approach your work more from a sense of feeling whole and feeling that that sense of timelessness, right? Where you're not in a rush, you're not in a hurry to get it all done at once and to reach some certain goal. It's easier to come to this understanding that things are unfolding as it should. And then, of course, we have the star family here, along with the wanderer, which is the fool in this deck. And that's so sweet, because this to me is just confirmation. I feel like saying that no matter where you are, that you do have this support in the immaterial world, right? They're offering you in the astral, wherever they might be, your ancestors or guides or angels or whoever is looking out for you, that they're really there so that you can take bigger risks in your life. And I actually am getting the sense that you are not dreaming big enough even, or you're not allowing yourself, because you've been stuck in this place of just feeling scared or in a state of fear of like needing to hold on to the little bits that you can, or seeing some success, right, in the things that you're doing, but then being afraid that it's going to go away, that's actually causing you to not dream as big as you possibly could. So this as kind of like, all right, if I can create more boundaries around my own sense of pleasure in life, and in experiencing life from a greater sense of having a greater sense of enjoyment for it in general, where I'm not always striving, that it's going to open up these kind of new sparks of inspiration, because we actually have to kind of cultivate and create the room for inspiration like this to come forward. And I think that these two together, it's like your support team is really there, and they are egging you on and want you to take bigger risks, and are fully here for it. And I actually get the sense that whatever this is for you, that you're thinking is your world or your whole world or what you want it to be, is not even maybe what is possible, the potential that is actually possible. So to me, I'm feeling the sense of dreaming bigger is actually part of this situation too, allowing yourself the space to dream bigger. And with the world, again, so we have world and world coming out twice, with the 5 of Wands, it's like needing to fully shed the distractions. Actually, I'm getting the sense of like, this is distractions, honestly. this is competition with other people. This is you feeling like you're never going to measure up to others, right? Or like the actions you're taking aren't the right ones at the right time. Like it really has this kind of frantic energy to it of not feeling aligned with what you're doing. And the world card here, it's like this cycle needs to close. Like for this to truly unfold, there has to be a way that you are, whether it's creating boundaries again around maybe like social media or just things that you are intaking that make you feel like you're not enough or make you feel like the journey you're on isn't valid, or that like whatever you're doing for work is lesser than, like that just needs to go. You have to find a way, and whether it's literally deleting apps from your phone, things like that. I mean, very practical things, because this distraction is something that is truly keeping you from being able to stay in this place. And find things that are greatly inspiring to you. If you have a goal in mind, if you have something that you're interested in, find teachers, mentors who are where you are desiring to be, and just start reading books by them. Like surround yourself in their energy, not in a way that you are comparing yourselves to them, but knowing that it's possible and understanding more of how you can get there. Because being in this state is really not actually, it's not supporting the journey in general. And let's think if there's anything else coming through here. Obviously, as always, just be compassionate with yourself through this journey. And to know, I think too, with the world card, like things come in cycles. So you might start to get better at handling this fear and dissolving the fears and being more in this star energy, but then it comes up again. And to remember, it's all a cycle, a spiral going up, right? Like you're never moving, like you're never losing traction of what you've gained, right? But it's fully okay if you fall back into this, and to not be afraid if that happens, and to know it's just showing you more of what needs to be worked through so you can keep moving on this path. But so long as you keep doing these more practical things, I really get the sense that it is going to become a lot easier for you to continue to enter into this mode of feeling like there is hope for the future. I understand the next steps to take, right? Like things are making more sense because I have like this boundary happening in my life where I'm making space for more than just one thing that is like the legacy I want to leave. Like I'm not putting so much pressure on it. Sometimes when we put so much pressure on a goal or a dream, this is true with like in manifestation too. It's like that, what is it called? The law of, oh my God, I can't even remember it right now. But putting too much emphasis or importance, law of importance, right? Putting too much onto the thing that you desire makes it kind of go further away, because it puts us into the state of like, I don't have it right now and I really need it. So this advice is very much like, find other things to put emphasis on, enjoyment on in your life. Like focus on a variety of stuff so that it can release a little bit of the importance that you've been putting on this one particular goal or the one way that you're seeing your life going. And as you are able to release that, it naturally allows things to flow a little bit more. It gives you more inspiration, actually might let you see that, oh my God, I'm not taking big enough risks, and there are even, bigger dreams for me that I know are mine. There's a lot of excitement here. I'm feeling like actually pretty giddy about this. So that's really cool. And I hope that this is answering your question and making it more clear of like how it's possible to move out of this space and really create a life of your dreams if, you're able to get into a state of more fluidity and just trust. And that the trust is available, and you have a team behind you that's ready to support you along the path as well. So I think I'm gonna end it there. Thank you, group 2, for watching this today. If you like this, feel free to like it or leave me a comment or subscribe. I'm really trying to invigorate this channel here. And so hopefully I'll have some more consistent videos posted. If you liked this, definitely would love to have you here. And I'll also say I have my class available right now, By the Moon, the Intuitive Guide to Understanding Your Birth Chart. And it's a really great place to start deepening into understanding how to work with your personal chart, how to like live it and understand and comprehend what that looks like on a day-to-day basis by working with the moon's transits. So it's a really beautiful technique that I wish I had learned, when I first started astrology, because it really helped me in greatly understanding my birth chart in a way that nothing else was able to. So I'm very happy to be able to provide that for folks, and the information about it's in the description box. And yeah, I also do one-on-one astrology sessions if you're curious about that. But hopefully I'll see y'all in another reading, or, if not, much love to you, to all of you, sending many blessings your way. Take care. Bye. Hello, group 3. Y'all chose the soda light here. I'll set it over to the side. And we are looking at the answer to your question. So first we're just doing the question here. I drew some cards that are giving clarity to what that question actually is. And if it resonates for you, then stick around. If not, you can try one of the other piles, or it might just not be a reading. But we're just gonna get started. So we had the air element with communicating come through, along with Mercury and the mind. And to clarify these cards, we had the Sun, we have the 8 of Pentacles, and the Queen of Swords. The question that I'm sensing here has a lot to do with how you are actually able to verbalize who you understand yourself to be. And that might be in a work setting, since we have the 8 of Pentacles coming through, or just in terms of the work that you want to be creating in the world. And really getting this question of like, how do I truly release the mask, right? Like anything that has been keeping me from feeling fully able to translate myself, my soul, into the world, to allow other people to perceive me. How do I do that in a way that feels honoring, right, of my soul? And like I said, with the Sun here, you might be in the public eye in some way and feeling kind of just this desire to be more honest, or to show more parts of yourself, because it's not even necessarily about honesty. It's not like you're like lying, right? But there might be a way that you just don't feel like the entirety of who you are is able to come across to other people, or you're not feeling seen fully for who you know yourself to be by your audience, or whoever that might be. Or just by people, in your environment, who see you in your mastery in some way, who see you working in your life in some way. So if this is resonating, stick around. We're gonna see if we can get some answers to this question. I'm just gonna kind of move things around a little bit here. I'm feeling like doing this pile a little bit differently. I am going to look at a few different options or pathways of how you could do this and what the outcome of that might be. So let's see, for the folks who are watching group 3, what are 2 to 3 different ways that they could approach this question? 2 to 3 different ways that they might engage with this. Resolution, equanimity, and I'll take the bottom of the deck, which is the Rose Phoenix, and then I'm going to get a tarot card to see, okay, if you follow each of these things, right, what's the outcome? All right, we have the Knight of Discs, or the Prince of Discs. And for the Rose Phoenix. This is really interesting. I've never done a reading quite like this before, at least not on my channel. But so this is essentially if 3 different pathways. You could weave between them and try different things, right? And then see these different outcomes come to fruition here. So the first one we have resolution, right? And this is all about, again, asking this question of how do I be authentically me in whatever it is I'm sharing into the world, like how to bring my light into the world. And it's interesting because, like I was talking about, really wanting to take the mask off, essentially, like that is part of this goal. And yet in this image, we have the figure is veiled. And there is kind of, and the hand on the heart, right, feels very significant. It's almost this confrontation with the shadow and with understanding that even our masks hold some sort of truth to them, right? Even the shadow has this sort of truth or information about who we are. And this card in the book talks about like having how all stories sort of come to this great like following the same trajectory, right, of having the climax and then having the end and the resolution of like the dragon has been slayed or something like that. But what if actually we understand more from a non-dualistic perspective of how this story is like we can come to a more sense of resolve within ourselves that doesn't have to be putting ourselves opposite to what we consider a challenge. And I think that's kind of interesting to think in this perspective. So it's almost like not getting rid of the question altogether, but it's just coming at it from a way of how isn't it exactly you? How are you not actually being authentic? Because, you know, the ways that you are keeping yourself a little bit shrouded in the shadows or not coming full forward, right, into what you would consider your authenticity, maybe you need to question that and say, like, am I actually, though, coming from a loving space? Like, am I just trying to get rid of that part of me, right, that I'm like afraid isn't fully me, or think that I'm being fake, right? Do I need to offer a little bit more compassion for myself and know that that's also part of my legitimate evolving? Or on the other end of that, like, is there a way that the masks or like that I'm afraid to show certain parts of myself because I think that it's too much in the shadow, and this is just saying we're allowed to be to have be multifaceted, right? Like, you're allowed to show yourself in various different forms. So that's kind of what I'm actually getting a sense of with this card, that this is sort of taking the road of feeling very empowered to literally share yourself in a variety of different ways that include the shadow, that include even maybe being honest about how you've been having a mask in the past, and it's sort of just like releasing the feeling that there's one particular way to be authentic, and knowing that every single part of your journey to get there is part of that authenticity. And when we have what's the result of approaching things in that way, which is more, to me, feels like a full embrace, right, of the whole situation, and actually understanding you're never not authentic, right? And we get the 6 of Pentacles here with success coming through along with the Hangman. So this outcome from approaching things in that direction could feel very successful at moments and then have you feeling a little bit trapped, or like things are not progressing as you desire. It also might be a path of having some really, really big epiphanies about why you've kept certain things hidden. It feels more like walking the path of like doing a little bit more shadow work, right? Of actually coming at this from a more introspective place versus just like, I need people to see me, right? It's like, I need to see me. And then I need to slowly allow that to be okay for other people to see me. So it does feel like there's a lot of opportunity there. And there's, with the Six of Pentacles, it makes me feel like that is actually being seen. It's like being received and other people and receiving other people at the same time, and how that kind of feeds in on this ability to then have deeper and deeper epiphanies and awareness about the layer upon layer that you actually are, and to understand it's sort of this evolving, never-ending process, right, of being able to share of yourself more and feel more confident in that. So that's definitely one direction there. Then we have the equanimity card here. This is all about being able to come to a place of complete stillness, to be able to take whatever is coming up, and no matter what it is, like no matter what's arising in any given moment, to be able to stabilize yourself, to have that inner sense of peace and knowing nothing can really shake you, right? This is a very stable path, and it doesn't surprise me that we have the Prince of Discs coming out in terms of like what could be the result of that. So to me, it's like, okay, yes, you can share of yourself. You can do that and work specifically with your emotional states so that when you do that, it's not going to cause it like extreme reactions in you. And to me, this is saying, yeah, if you really work on being able to stay fully in a state of equanimity and work on it, especially when you take these moves to share yourself more in your truth in whatever spaces it is, and just publicly, right, to other people in general, when you're allowing yourself to be seen, that you are very much focused on maintaining a sense of calm and a sense of your own worth and wholeness, and nothing can rattle you, right? Like just being in that sense of peace and cultivating it in whatever way works for you. It is showing up that the result of that is this kind of Prince of Discs energy, which is very much that like slow and steady progression. To me, this is saying if you work on it in that, from that particular mindset, that you will see progress, but it might take a good amount of time, right? Like it might just feel like, okay, I do it, try it once, and then it's like slowly progressing forward again and again, because it is this, to being able to be in a state of equanimity takes a lot of practice. So that feels very obvious to me of like an outcome from trying it that way. All right, and the final one that we have is the Rose Phoenix here. And this is almost like coming at the situation understanding you're already in full bloom, that you are like in, how can I say this? Like you're already where you want to be almost, and not even really considering the fact that you might be inauthentic in the moment. Like it's almost just sort of like when we try and create things that we want and we really like sit in the feeling of how it already is, if it's being completed already. It's kind of like that. So if you took the stance of like, I'm already seen by people in my wholeness, right? Like really, really letting yourself sink into that and coming at your work or whatever it is you're doing from a place of feeling, I'm already there, I'm already that person. This is sort of that path. And if you go down that route, we have the Seven of Pentacles with failure, and we have the Two of Pentacles with change. So this is interesting because obviously the 7 and the 2 together create the 9 of Pentacles, which is often that card of like personal fulfillment in the material world, and really being able to create a lot of abundance for yourself on an individual sense. And I think, again, this is kind of, these are both like hard working cards. So there is this sense of like, okay, I know if I take this path, it's going to take a lot of effort to continue to stay in this energy, to continue to be able to feel again into, yes, I'm already there. it actually feels a little contradictory, if I'll be honest. Like, maybe not contradictory if this had the Nine of Pentacles, but it's like, okay, the two together, yes, they make the Nine of Pentacles, but on their own, they're both like striving, right? We have the Seven of Pentacles, which is a waiting energy and a feeling of like, I've planted my seeds, why aren't they coming up at all? And the Two of Pentacles with that change, and it's like the baby steps, the steps that we really have to be making, the ways that we have to balance our own life to feel like we can actually progress forward, just having to deal with whatever's coming up in the material world. It is kind of like juggling energy. So it might even be that when you get into this space of feeling like what it would be like to be fully heard or fully seen, it actually gives you the opportunity to sense the challenges. And so that could really support you in terms of knowing more clearly where you need to work on things or how that might be supportive or not. So, yeah, but it just feels like there's more here in terms of consistent working. It's also Jupiter and Capricorn, I'm noticing on this card, which is interesting. So yeah, it just feels like, okay, the benefits will come, right? The work will pay off if you are consistent with it. And if you continue to see yourself, if you continue to rely on the state, similar to this equanimity card, but a little bit different. It's giving you, it's less like stable, right? It's more throwing you back into that feeling of having to constantly regulate the energy of the Seven of Pentacles with the Two of Pentacles, and knowing like, okay, if I'm following the energy of like being patient enough, and I'm following the energy of taking each step as it comes, as I need to, when it's as related to sharing my voice, right? That like eventually I'm going to reach this place where I'm going to feel way more stable in myself in the material world, and like it's aligned. Because I think a lot of this, of what this question is, it's like in the work environment, right? Like, how do I bridge who I am as a, emotional being, as a spiritual being, as like this creator, right, through my voice and into my work, into my creative life. So this to me is just like the path to that is possible through visioning yourself in that future. It's just kind of a constant need to be patient and also to take things one step at a time. So it'll be constantly kind of bringing you back to that, even as you're stepping into this kind of full bloom moment. So this is kind of interesting. I think they all have similarities. It's definitely different ways that you could approach the situation here. And yeah, I don't know if any feel more or less difficult. They're going to take you down different journeys, and it kind of makes sense. Like with this more working with the shadow aspects, we have a more reciprocated experience with epiphanies, but it seems like it could also be bring like stagnancy at moments, so that might feel confusing or difficult or disruptive, right? Versus the equanimity card, which if you take that stance of like just working on the emotional regulation as you are sharing more of yourself, that it could be more of like a stable and slow and steady progression, versus the seeing yourself as the person who's already bloomed into this full authenticity. We have the like need for a lot of patience around that, and still needing to take things one step at a time. And it might feel like not seeing the fruition of that. It might feel a little bit like there's always a rub there, right? When we are trying to envision the future, sometimes it can create difficulty when we're being asked to be patient or being asked to wait. So that's definitely something that could pop up too. But I don't know, I'll just get like one more little card for each one to see if there's anything further. I don't think this necessarily needed to be like, choose one thing and take it forever. I just think these are different approaches you could take to voicing yourself more authentically and what might occur through that. But we'll just get like one more card for each of these and see if there's anything else that wanted to come through. So for my group threes, anything else for resolution? Any other insight about what that could bring for them? Equanimity. Any card for equanimity wants to come through. Yes, and in the arms of the angel. And for the rose phoenix, anything else wants to come through? Whoa. Hold on, let's try that again. Messages from the rose phoenix of what could happen with that energy. I'm feeling this card. So I love that we have relational devotion with resolution, especially with the Six of Pentacles. I do think another thing that could come from taking this approach, which really is like embracing all parts of self, even like not judging who you are in this moment, right? Of like, oh, I don't feel like I'm being authentic enough, or I'm sharing enough, I'm not feeling seen enough. Embracing that part of you fully is part of what is going to lead you to this place of like finding more epiphanies and having more of these experiences. And I love that we have relational devotion, because to me it's showing there's a vulnerability there, and in that vulnerability you are more able to relate on a deeper level to others, and for others to feel actually more trust with you, and like you have reason to be connected together, or not even a reason, but it's more like just seeing the humanity in each other, and that's a really beautiful outcome that could come from that as well. With equanimity, we had the yes card very strongly, and in the arms of the angel. So I do feel like this is a very valid and important path, and maybe one that you should strive for, even if you decide to do some of these other things as well. But to be continually coming to as much of like emotionally regulated space as you're testing the waters here is going to help you to progress. And with the yes and in the arms of the angel, it just feels like what's available or are coming through that even goes beyond this work around authenticity and sharing your voice into being in a more place of feeling connected and like deeply held by the guides, the angels, the spirits, ancestors on your team, right? And feeling more connected to them, which I think is why the yes is here. It's like, please let us help you, let us be a part of this too, and they want to like support you in that. So definitely would say to use this strategy, even just not just necessarily for this, but just in your life in general, to be able to have more access to this, to their energy too, and to be able to reach states of gratitude, I think is a big part of equanimity too. No matter where you're at, if you're able to breathe into that and expand the heart into it, that it does give you that ability to connect. And with the Rose Phoenix, we had the sextile coming out, which this is in astrology, that the aspect in astrology, which has a lot to do with, you know, creating interesting collaborations with other people. And to me, this is like speaking to the collaboration you'd be creating with your future self, who's already, you know, blooming, who's already fully feeling like they are in their authenticity and in their authentic voice. So this card coming through, it's kind of playful in a way. Sextiles are a little bit playful energy, and it feels like, yeah, that you will learn even how to really create a harmonious relationship with future parts of you. So this could be an interesting way to learn about how to do that more if you're willing to understand it's going to come with the need to be patient and with the need to still take action in the material. I think that's important too, because when folks get really wrapped up in this idea of like, I just need to be who, like the person who has the thing and I just need to feel it. You still have to take the actions in the physical world. And I think some people get a little lost when they don't realize like, oh yeah, I still have to do that. And so the sextile energy is, part of that. It's saying, yeah, this is going to be a collaboration between you and that part of you. So, all right, that feels good. That felt like a closure. Sorry if this is a little wild. Hopefully this was an interesting read for those of you who are really feeling this question today. Yeah, but feel free to leave me a comment if this was resonating, like the video or subscribe. I'm trying to revamp my channel here and invigorate it with some new content and hopefully be a little bit more consistent into the future. So if you liked what I was reading today, definitely stick around because I'm going to have some more coming for you, hopefully more consistently. And if you are ever interested in an astrology session, I do offer one-on-one sessions. And like I said in the beginning, I have a class right now called By the Moon, the Intuitive Guide to Understanding Your Birth Chart. And if you really want to get deep on understanding more clearly what your birth chart is actually allowing for you in your day-to-day life, like how to live your chart fully, I definitely recommend checking it out. It uses the transits of the moon to deepen into your understanding of your birth chart. No matter how much information you know about astrology, wherever you're at on that journey, I made it so that it was welcoming to complete beginners, but also for folks who have a greater understanding of astrology already, because it is working with a practice that is a little bit more advanced, but all the beginner information is in there if you need it. It's definitely what I wish I had when I first started astrology, oh my goodness, because it just really gives you the confidence to be able to comprehend what you're experiencing yourself without someone telling you what it is, without other people saying like, you have your sun here and that's what that means about you. It's really actually giving you that sense of like, yeah, but what does that mean to my day-to-day life? Like, what does that mean in terms of how I feel and my experience of it, my personal embodied experience? So this class is very much trying to get you there so you feel that confidence and that sense of like love and belonging, but from your own chart and from the planets, and just feeling that interconnectedness. So, all right, I will end it there. I'm clearly very excited about the class. All the information's in the description box. And I hope you'll have a beautiful day, night, whenever you are viewing this video. And hopefully I'll see y'all in another one. And if not, have a wonderful, wonderful time. I love you all. Much love. Bye.